But let's go to Megan, who is on the line in Frederick, Maryland. Megan, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can I help?
Hey, so I'm kind of at a crossroads. 2 years ago, I left a lower-paying job to return to work for my family's business. I'm fifth generation, so there's a lot of extended family ties and things like that, but I'm not necessarily emotionally tied to the job.
Mm-hmm.
It's good news for our household because it took me from $55K to $75K with really good benefits. And since I work with family, we have a lot of leeway for babysitter emergencies, appointments, and things like that you might not get at another job. So on paper, it sounds really great, but my role there is HR. And it's become something that I didn't expect it to. I don't have an HR background, and I've come to really dislike the job because I don't like the counseling and the litigious possibilities that are behind HR.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like I have golden handcuffs because I have really great benefits and a really great setup, but I just don't like the job.
You know what? I just had a phrase enter my head, Megan. All perks and no passion.
Yeah.
That's your status. You got great perks and no passion. And so what happens is your mind and heart are having this really weird debate all the time. Because your heart's going, get out of this. You don't enjoy this. It's not what you're created to do. There's so much more that I've thought about, dreamed about. And your head's going, you're an idiot, heart. Shut up. You've got all these great things. You've got all these perks. And one thing you probably didn't mention that I think is usually there in a family business, and this is the head side again, it's all of the perks and all the things. You're an idiot, heart. And oh, by the way, heart, you're so cruel. You're going to upset Uncle Fred and Aunt Martha if you leave the business. Am I right?
A little bit. There is a little bit of that there, but we have so much extended family that I don't necessarily feel that pull as much anymore.
Okay, but it's still there. And so I just want to call it out because we got to know what we're fighting in order to win. All right? So you're fighting your head. And so what we have to do is we have to retrain your brain here with new information so your brain goes, oh, okay, right? Because what we focus on is what we see everywhere. And so in your brain right now, you're going, oh, this is so good, this is so good, this is so good, this is so good. Why would I leave something that's so good, so good, so good, and so safe and all this kind of nonsense? And so what happens is when you think that way, your brain goes out and takes pictures of all the supporting evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we got to do is totally focus on the heart for a moment and then come up with an actual clear path to fulfill that. And then the brain goes, oh, okay. So what is it that you would really love to do? If I could give it to you tomorrow, no risk at all. You waltz right into it, no disruption of pay, all the money you would want to make, and all the success, it's guaranteed. And you just get to give it a rip. You just get to try it. What would you do?
It sounds pretty lofty, but for a very long time, I've wanted to own rental property and run that so that I can do my own hours and just sort of be my own boss. So I've always had that entrepreneurial.
Right. So is it selling houses, or is it just owning a rental property and being the super?
More like owning.
Yeah, but do you have the cash?
I feel like that's really lofty because I don't have the cash to get to that goal. So I don't know what.
Well, hold on a second.
To get there.
Hold on a second. I hear this a lot from callers. I've never addressed this before. So Megan, you get to be the guinea pig. I've heard it 3 or 4 times today. Oh, it's really lofty, or this is really kind of out there. Shouldn't it be? Of course it's lofty. It's a dream of yours. So let's embrace the loftiness and say, I kind of hope it is lofty. You know, if you called me and said, Ken, well, here's the deal. I'd really like to manage the late shift at McDonald's. Oh, great. Fantastic. That's not very lofty. So what is the cash? So what has to be true? So just answer this simply. What has to be true financially for you to buy a rental property, manage that, and then eventually buy another rental property and manage that? What has to be true financially?
I have to have enough for that initial first purchase, and then hopefully from there on, the properties could fund additional.
Exactly. So how much money do you need? You have any idea? What's your financial situation? Are you in debt? Are you debt free? What's going on?
We're debt free except for our home.
Great.
But we're kind of tight with our budget right now, so we don't have a whole lot of ability to save.
Why are you tight with the budget?
Daycare, adding another child to daycare here soon, and mortgage, and just life in general.
Right. But you hate the HR work now anyway, so I feel like we need the answer to this question is to go get a different job.
Yeah.
That makes you more money so that we can afford daycare, or come up with another line of revenue that could make daycare not that big of a thing. You got you got family all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
At what point do we say, hey, in order for us to get ahead, we need to kill our daycare expenses, so we need some family to step in and help us out? Does that not become a viable conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a conversation I'd have. Hey, we're not going to ask you to do this for 7 years and raise the kids, but we need some help. Here's why we need help. Cast the vision. That's one thing I would do. Second thing I would do is, you want to be in the real estate business. That's essentially what owning rental property is. It's real estate investing. Yes or no?
Yes.
You can't stand HR. Yes or no?
Yes.
What do you do well?
I really enjoy, I'm really good at doing like the admin portion of the job. It's just the person-to-person counseling and... No,
I didn't ask you what you don't like. I just said, what do you do well? What would people say Megan is best at? What would they say?
Numbers and planning for the future.
Okay. Numbers and planning for the future. So I'm looking for another job. If you got to work anyway, I'm looking for another job outside the family business that pays you more money, so we've got some margin. The other thing is, I was going to ask you if you consider real estate, where you can sell houses at night and show houses at night and show them on the weekend, and that's where the extra cash comes in. Now the budget isn't so tight, number one, but number two, you can really save up some money. And now that you're in that space, you got your finger on the pulse, and you get to a point where eventually you make enough money and you find some itty bitty jewel somewhere and put a little bit of money in it and pay cash for it and rent that baby out. I'm just saying, you have to come up with some forward thinking actions right now that put you in a position to get there. And the thing you have to do is create more revenue, because you're already out of debt. It's just there's not enough margin. So how do we get 3 to 6 months expenses in the bank, and then go from 6 to 12 months of both of you and your husband's salary in the bank? And then after that, we're going to try to fund the next house. So you two have got to sit down with a good old-fashioned notebook and a pencil and come up with some ways to make more money. That's what has to be true. So you're clear on what you want to do. And if the question becomes, it always is how do I get qualified? Well, that essentially says, how do I get there? Then in your case, it's, I got to have more money to get that first rental property. So how do me and the hubs increase our income? That becomes the operating question.